Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why some people seem to just love their jobs and others just go through the motions? What if the key isn't just what you are good at, but what your job actually needs from you and what you bring as a whole person? That is the big question this fascinating study dives into. This research dives deep into understanding how the things we love to do are personality and what makes us good people actually connect to how happy, engaged, and productive we are at work. You see, scientists have studied this for a while, and they often look at personality traits, those big 5 things like being outgoing or conscientious. And they also look at vocational interests, which are basically what kind of work you are drawn to, like being a scientist or an artist. But this study goes a step further. It says, hey, what about character strengths like bravery, kindness, and curiosity? Can these also predict how much we enjoy and excel at our jobs? And even more importantly, the researchers wanted to see if it is not just about having these traits, but whether there is a good fit between what you are and what your job demands. Is your job asking the right things from you? So how did they figure all this out? Well, they got 259 adults working in different jobs to fill out a bunch of surveys. Think of it like this. They asked people about their personal interests, their personality traits, and their character strengths. Then they asked them to rate how important these same things were for their current job. So they had a picture of what the person was like and what the job seemed to require. Then they looked at how all these pieces fit together and what outcomes they led to. The main outcomes they were interested in were work satisfaction, how happy people are with their job's work engagement, how energized and involved they feel, and their self-rated performance, how well they think they're doing at their jobs. Now let's get to the juicy findings. First off, all 3 areas interest, personality and character strengths, showed meaningful links to how people felt and performed at work. This means all these aspects of who we are matter. When they looked at the individual person's traits, they found some really cool patterns. For example, engaged employees tended to have higher levels of certain personality traits, like being extroverted, and a bunch of character strengths like zest, hope, and perseverance. For job satisfaction, it was similar with personality and character strengths, playing a big role. But for self-rated performance, the character strengths really shone through, with most of them showing a strong connection. It wasn't just about the person though. The researchers also looked at what the job was demanding. They found that for a job to be satisfying, it might need to demand certain investigative and enterprising interests and specific character strengths, like humor and creativity. An engaging job might ask for social interests and personalities, like agreeableness. And a high-performing jobs seem to benefit from employers demanding conscientiousness and emotional stability. Now let's talk about that overlap. The study was keen to see if these 3 areas' interests, personality and character strengths, were just different ways of saying the same thing, or if they each brought something unique to the table. The results suggested there is a lot of overlap, but they're definitely not redundant. Character strengths, in particular, explained a good chunk of the unique variance in work outcomes. Personality traits came in second, and vocational interests third. This suggests that while they're connected, each of these areas adds something special to understanding our work lives. And then there is the crucial part, the person-job fit. They looked at how well a person's profile matched what they perceived their job demanded. The findings here were interesting. Person-environment similarity did predict satisfaction and engagement across all 3 domains. This supports the idea that when your strength, your personality, and your interests align with your job demands, you are likely to be happier and more engaged. This is great news for careers counseling. However, the actual impact of this fit on outcomes was relatively small. The study found that the absolute levels of your interest, personality, and character strengths seem to matter more than the perfect fit. That is, simply being a certain way or having certain strengths often had a bigger effect on your work outcomes than just whether your job perfectly matched those traits. The researchers also point out that while fit is important, it was especially vocational interest fit that consistently predicted all 3 outcomes. Personality fit also nudged up self-rated performance. But fit for character strength didn't show as much of an extra boost when considered alongside the other factors. So what does this all mean for us? Well, the study strongly suggests that to get a full picture of someone's work life, we need to consider not just their personality and what kind of work they're interested in, but also their character strengths. It is like asking 3 different but related questions. Do you have the skills for the job that is personality? Do you enjoy the kind of work that is interests? And perhaps most importantly, does your job allow you to be your best self and use the qualities that make you a good person? Those are character strengths. The researchers emphasized the practical side of this. Integrating character strengths into career assessments and coaching could provide a more rounded and positive view of how people function at work. It shifts the focus from just what you can do to how you can thrive. Now, for the scientific part though, like any study, this one has its limitations. They acknowledge that they only looked at people at one point in time, so we can't say for sure that these traits cause job satisfaction or engagement. Also, it was all based on self-report, so there is a chance of people over or under-reporting things, ideally. They'd also get feedback from supervisors or coworkers. They also note that the way they measured things wasn't perfectly consistent across interest, personality, and character strength. For example, they used single questions to measure job demands for character strength, while using multiple questions for interests and personality. This could affect how directly we can compare the findings across the different areas. And finally, their sample was mostly women and well-educated, so the results might not perfectly apply to everyone, especially to jobs they call realistic or artistic, which were underrepresented in their study, or to people in different countries. Despite these limitations, this is a really cool study because it pushes our understanding of what makes work fulfilling. It highlights that while personality and interests are definitely important, our character strengths and how well they align with our jobs play a significant role too. It gives us a more complete toolbox for thinking about careers and workplace success. Maybe the next time you are looking for a job or thinking about what makes you happy at work, consider not just what you are good at or what you like, but also what qualities you uniquely possess and how those can shine through. So that is it for this week's deep dive. What do you think about the role of character strength at work? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more mind-blowing insights, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.